So it's been a week since my last video about creepshowart dropped, and the reason for that is because the whole situation has been wearing on me ever since the initial lolcow allegations, so I took a much needed break. However, today we're back to discuss some more damning evidence that further solidifies Emily Artful's claims and incriminates Shannon of the things Emily outlined in her original video, which is what we talked about last in part 3 of this series. So if you're at all confused about who Emily Artful is, what her relationship is to Shannon, or what her allegations are, you can watch my previous video or watch Emily's video. Either one works. All of the relevant links should be in the description. Hi guys, gals, gays, and NBays. I'm Omnia, and today the plan is that we're going to go over 4 major pieces of evidence that strengthen Emily Artful's claims against creepshowart. First, we're going to examine all of Shannon's lolcow posts that mention or refer to Emily Artful. Secondly, we're going to go over an interview where creepshowart mentions Emily. Thirdly, we're going to read a thread created by a college classmate of Creepshow discussing Emily. And lastly, 4, we are going to be reviewing a few of the questions creepshowart's Sibling has answered on Twitter in regards to Emily. We have a lot to cover today, so let's just get started. First, let's discuss creepshowart's lolcow post about Emily, because I didn't actually cover that in any of my previous videos, and I thought it would be more relevant in this one as we are discussing further evidence that incriminates Shannon of the things Emily Artful outlined in her original video. Let's start with the first mention of Emily Artful in Creepshow's post history. It states, quote, "Want to talk about Emily Artful? She full-on has gone to small channels and told them not to do story times because they are her thing and her brand." An anonymous user replied to this stating, "LMAO, I'm tempted to start making storytime videos now just to spite her." Shannon replied to that anon stating, quote, "Say it's a sketchbook storytime." She said in her problem with a big YouTuber video that she's had to DM a bunch of artists to get them to rename it because so many people copy her and her creativity. She called anyone who does storytimes a clone of her because she totally invented that genre. This dialogue corroborates what Emily had mentioned in her video about Shannon, where she confronted her about copying the title of her series, Sketchbook Storytime. However, Emily was very kind throughout the encounter and tried her best to be positive about the whole thing. Here's the clip where Emily discusses it.
So when I approached her and I sent her a private message, I was perfectly polite. I didn't want to feel like I was coming in here and trying to intimidate her to get her to change her series name. Hi Shannon, my name is Emily and I have a channel on YouTube called Emily Artful. It's been brought to my attention that you have a series with the exact same name as a series I created 3 years ago called Sketchbook Storytime. I'm going to guess this was most likely 100% by accident or by coincidence, but I put my heart and soul into my series and I'd really appreciate if you were able to change the name of your Storytime videos. You are completely within your right not to, as it's your channel and you can do with it as you please, but from one artist to another, I hope you'll understand how it can hurt my business. I love your art, and it's obvious you're very talented. You've got an incredibly unique style. I've never seen anything like it. I hope you understand my requests, and I hope you don't think I'm angry. Things like this happen all the time. I figure it's just a coincidence. Thank you, Emily. And Shannon responded, "Sorry man, I watched Lehman Raptor on YouTube and she has a series titled the same name and she gave me a go-ahead. I'll just label them as Storytime since that's all it is, but I appreciate you letting me know your concern. Looking into it, there are quite a few accounts using the same name for similar series, kind of like Get Ready For Me for beauty YouTubers almost. I think at the very least you might have started a trend, which is commendable. Sorry I made you uncomfortable in any way, my dude. Now, I would never in a million years. But at the time, I was still kind of green. I was getting to know the layout of the land. And again, it's like a generic name, so whatever. I'm totally actually, if anything, supportive now of people using Sketchbook Storytime because that is what it is. But regardless, I was very polite and friendly, so I wasn't bullying anyone. I wasn't trying to be intimidating. And she responded in kind. And then I said, "Thank you so much." And no, didn't make me uncomfortable one bit. I was pretty sure it was just a coincidence. I'm so glad I'm so glad I was able to start a trend within the community. I just want to protect certain properties that I've started. The act of storytelling itself is wonderful, and I hope more and more people keep sharing. Maybe I shouldn't have picked such a generic name.
Despite this fairly lukewarm positive exchange, Shannon still seemed to be pretty pissed off by the encounter, considering these lolcow posts. Moving along to the next post, Shannon states, quote, I mean, she did marry her husband after dating for less than a year. Like, they met in April and were married in December. Not super bright. Which, number one, how would any old Joe on the internet know about that information? And number two, that's crazy coming from Shannon, considering her husband is like literally batshit, but I digress. This post is literally just a picture of a woman crying with the caption, Emily deletes a lot of her videos, but someone is re-uploading them. Also, notice the dates of all of these posts. These were all created in December 2018, which is right after Emily confronted Shannon and her husband of being her stalkers and harassers in October 2018. The next post is by an anon which reads, Note to self, you know you're a big art YouTuber when you are being talked about on this thread. What a sad little community this is. Then, hilariously, Shannon responded to that post stating, Okay, Emily. LOL. Okay, Creepshow. The next post, created by an anonymous user, reads, Emily Artful posted a video about art block recently. I get what she is talking about, but she made a huge deal out of having an art block, as if it's some kind of mental issue. I really don't get why online artists make art blocks so important. They're just out of ideas. Someone needs to tell them to chill the fuck out. Shannon then responded to this saying, quote, she literally has 4 other videos about the same thing where she says the same thing. Her content is repetitive and lame. Shannon continues to shit on Emily after posting a picture of some earrings she had made. Shannon stated, have you guys seen Emily's shitty jewelry and charms? Like, do people actually buy these? This is just an observation of mine, but it's almost as if Shannon couldn't harass Emily publicly without repercussion, so she had to revert to doing so anonymously. Someone else on lolcow posted a video of Emily's titled, Reacting and Redrawing Art from My Dark Past, and they stated, as lulzy as Emily might be, I do respect that she turned her life around. The drug and would explain why she was camgirling. Then, Shannon replied to clarify. No, the camgirling came after she got clean. She was on heroin for a very short while. After that short while, she was on YouTube under the name Emily Sugarfruit. I know this because I was a fan of her channel, and if you find her deviant art at the time, she talks about how she has just recently gotten clean and sober. As Emily Sugarfruit, she reviews anime, dances in a bikini, and did a whole video naked in a bathtub. She also wrote an entire comic based off of One Piece so she could fuck the main character. Not to mention bully other female reviewers and tell them they weren't hot enough to be as popular as she was. That was what she did on heroin. She then got clean, started to be a cam girl, and then started doing story times, which she said she created and now gets mad at any other YouTuber who tries. She is a cow who likes to pretend she's better than everyone and has her shit together. This one in particular is a lot. Once again, I beg the question, how would any old Joe on the internet know about this information? None of this was public. Secondly, this further corroborates Emily's video as Shannon mentions videos of her in the bathtub in this lolcow post, which only Brita Filter, the sock puppet account that claimed to have harassed her over the past 5 years, should have known about.
Anyway, back to the original Brita Filter message I had received back in 2018. And if you recall, at the beginning of the conversation I had with Shannon, she did mention this account. She said this account specifically had sent her some dirt on me, but she had tried to report it, but then when she went back, they had deleted their account. Well, apparently not. Also, she tried to paint this account as being malicious towards me, but you'll see. Brita Filter says, Hi, Emily. You don't know me, but unfortunately, I know you. I want to explain this as clearly as possible, but it's very difficult for me to get my words out right now with everything I've found and what's going on around me. I don't expect you to reply. I just want you to know what happened, because in a weird way, it does affect you. My brother has been a quote-unquote fan of you for a while now. He has apparently watched all of your videos and has them saved on his computer. There are some of you where you're singing and it's fairly grainy, all the way up to some that I see you are currently posting on YouTube. He has pages and pages of screen names, information on you, and things that I don't think any person should have on someone. Essentially, if you put it out on the internet, he has it. I also found screenshots of when he has harassed you. He made accounts on YouTube years ago pretending to be a girl named Ava, I think she means Aja, but whatever, and bothered you then. I believe he has a list of your past employees, one being an optical shop, and though I am not sure, I believe he might have sent them things about you. He made various Twitters and sent you messages about other people and things that have nothing to do with you. He even started reaching out to various people, followers of you on YouTube and Instagram with quote-unquote proof that you buy subscribers. I know via screenshots screenshots that he sent these with little notes on them. If I had known about this sooner, I would have stopped it sooner. But unfortunately, our family has some communication problems. In this modern age, it's hard to find a reason to check someone else's computer for anything, but I think my parents should have been more attentive with that. I was using his computer for schoolwork and found everything. Even videos of you in a bathtub, which I thought as inappropriate, and I truly don't understand how he got those. I took the laptop and showed the information to my family, and we have all decided it is in his best interest to go to a mental health facility and be cut off from this. I don't know what else I can say, but I am sorry. He was and is a kid, and is currently only 15. I don't know when you started posting or what he first saw of you, but for some reason, you became his fixation. He is going to be receiving help and counseling, and we are going to be spending thousands of dollars to figure this out. I refuse to let this happen to any other woman. I am sorry for doing this anonymously, but because my brother is a child, my parents have told me not to speak out about this with anyone else outside of family. I know that must be inherently frustrating for you, but it's important to me that you at least know that this problem was seen and will be taken care of. If there is anything else you want to know, please don't hesitate to ask. I only made this account to let you know what is going on, because I felt that it was close to criminal for you to not know about something that so dearly affects you. I know when I was being harassed online at the age of 13, my trust in people went down because I couldn't know who did it. I want to tell you it was my brother, a boy you don't know, who at a very young age found you online and became obsessed. There is no other way to say it. He became obsessed. I hope that eases your mind and your heart, and I hope you have a beautiful life again. If you need anything else, let me know.
I just think it's very convenient that Shannon knew about these things when that was 1, never public, and 2, not something she claimed to know about. This post in particular is really incriminating. Moving right along, an anonymous user posted Creepshow's video about being stalked for 8+ years, which has pretty much been proven to be false. The anonymous user states, "I'll be honest, I couldn't be fucked to watch it. It's an hour long." Then Shannon slides in and replies to that anon stating, "I watched it, and it kind of explains a lot about why she says she's more used to getting hate. Her being on lolcow kind of seems like how she copes with shit after years of someone attacking her online. Makes sense why she is so standoffish. Also, her art in this video has improved a lot. Like, she does hands, and the colors actually work nicely together. I ask once more, what type of stalker would speak positively about Shannon, her personality, and her art if they were trying so hard to ruin her online reputation? Not only that, but I think it's so funny how the previous post was absolutely lambasting Emily, discouraging that anon who spoke positively about her, and this one is uplifting and even justifying why Shannon lurks and posts on lolcow, encouraging the anons to think positively of her. A lot of this seems to have stemmed from an insecurity in relation to Emily, which led Shannon to sway the anons to dislike Emily and favor her instead. The posts continue, "I feel like we neglect Emily on here a lot, and she's so milky. And god damn it, Emily keeps doing paid sponsorships and has full on stopped giving a fuck." Shannon would also post Emily's videos, waiting for opinions from other anonymous users on the image board. Shannon also accused Emily of lurking the threads, stating, "Emily for sure lurks. She literally freaks out on Twitter about lolcow and mean comments, then deletes them. I wonder why, considering she was stalked for the better part of a decade." The posts continue, with an anonymous user posting a video of Emily's with the caption, "The art collab we really need." Shannon replied, "Okay, Emily, we get you want to post this. No one cares." Like, Shannon really had a hate boner for this girl, my god. Shannon also posted a very old video of Emily talking to a group of other content creators, stating, "Has anyone posted about Emily Artful's past of being an anti-feminist, anime-loving, I'm not like other girls girl? Here she is essentially trying to impress a bunch of neckbeards while they talk about anime girls they want to have sex with." The last and most recent post about Emily states, "Emily Artful uploaded 2 videos trying to explain her absence when, in reality, she left because her views are terrible. Before she left, she was tweeting and deleting about how bad her views were because no one wants a podcast of her talking with other artists. People want fake story times from her, and that's it. That's why none of her content breaks 100,000 views. So she makes a video saying she almost killed her child 2 times because she got him sick, then when no one cared, pretended it was creator burnout." This post in particular was already covered by Emily in her own video, which I'll play here for context.
Pretended it was creator burnout. That is just a flat out lie. And this is what is so disturbing. She would watch my videos and then go to lolcow, it seems, and just lie about what was in the videos, because most people can't even be bothered to go and watch and make sure what she's saying is the truth. And pretty much everything she has literally ever said about me is exactly that. She takes a sliver of truth to make it believable. So she takes something that I may have said before in a video or tweeted out before, and then she lies. She attaches lies to it because most people could not be bothered to go back and check. So they move on with a really negative opinion of me. And that's exactly what she wants. The video she's referencing, I posted back in July of 2019. It's called These Past 2 Months Animated. And already in the thumbnail, it's got my little Bubby's character like stressed out with the words too much over it. So no, it's not like I posted that video and then all of a sudden nobody cared, so I backtracked and said it was something different. The whole video was to express that I was burnt out. Not just creator burnout, but just burnt out in general. And no, Shannon, I did not almost kill my kid 2 times by deliberately getting him sick. What the fuck? What video were you watching? Sorry, I started to lose my cool for 2 seconds, but I didn't try to deliberately get my kid sick and kill him twice. That is such a bizarre accusation. But again, just constant accusations and comments about me being an abusive mother, me being a neglectful mother, me being a terrible mother. And if it's one thing that I'm confident in, if it could be nothing else, I will stand on the tops of the highest mountain and say it at the top of my lungs. I know I am a good mom. So I think it's important you guys remember that Shannon likes to take a sliver of truth so things seem credible and then sprinkle in all her lies.
In all, we just covered 16 lolcow posts that Shannon had posted about Emily Artful. By cross-referencing some of these posts to Emily's story, I think there is some pretty damning evidence for not only the fact that Emily was telling the truth about her story, but also the fact that this is indeed Shannon posting on lolcow, though I'm pretty sure we already established that by now. The evidence that supports Emily doesn't stop there, of course. Recently, a college classmate of Shannon's has come out of the woodworks to further corroborate Emily's story while simultaneously providing some really interesting evidence. Their name is Kevin, and they posted the following thread on their Twitter profile. Quote, I never thought I'd find myself related to a situation like this, but I am absolutely in the business of holding people accountable for their actions. So I'd like to share what I know about the situation between creepshowart and Emily Artful. In the interest of preventing doxing, I'm not going to include any information that might put someone in danger, but if it becomes necessary for either a court case or if things get wildly out of control, I can provide more specifics. I met Shannon my freshman year of college in 2011. We shared an English class and worked on a group project together. Outside of that, at the time, we didn't have much contact. I ended up leaving that school and attending a community college that was close to my hometown. At that school, I ended up meeting my abuser. She ended up completely separating me from my entire support group and I lost nearly all of my friends. There was a period of a few months where my abuser and I broke up, and this is when I reconnected with Shannon. Shannon ended up at the same community college, saw me on campus, and stopped me to say hi. I was desperate to make new friends, so this seemed like a blessing. She was fine at the beginning, we'd just hang out and share music, but she became concerning very quickly. It started with her introducing me to Anthony's music. She told me that he was her ex. They were still in a sexual relationship. The way he treated her seemed very unhealthy, and I told her as such, but Shannon was insistent that he was good to her. Eventually, she shared one of Anthony's music videos that featured Emily and told me that Emily was also Anthony's ex. Shannon told me that Emily was crazy and Anthony only kept her around because she was a good singer, among other things. For the next while, every time Shannon and I would hang out, she would fixate entirely on Emily. She would point out all of what she perceived as Emily's flaws, would talk about how all of her tattoos were related to Anthony somehow, everything she could to put her down. I thought it was strange to fixate so much on an ex's ex, but I was desperate for anyone to help me out of the situation I was in, so I ignored a lot of the red flags. I haven't really been able to forgive myself for that, especially considering what came next. Shannon began to cyberstalk Emily, first starting by finding her YouTube page. She shared videos with me and I naively thought that was harmless and it would go no further. But Shannon started looking for her home address, her phone number, or any other info she could find. Shannon told me how she had plans to harass Emily, either by sending her letters or prank calling her home, how she planned to leave hate messages on her videos or DM her from burner accounts to spread hate. This is when I began to distance myself from Shannon. The distance led me back to my abuser, which is a different story, but one of my last interactions with Shannon was her proudly showing me that Emily had posted a video about closing her YouTube channel because of the harassment she was receiving. Emily talked about how much it hurt to lose something that was important to her, but she was so anxious and in pain from the targeted harassment that she couldn't continue. It was at that point that I began to cut Shannon off. I felt guilty since that day that I didn't do anything sooner, that I didn't go to the police with what I knew, or at least attempted to talk with Shannon to tell her what she was doing wasn't okay. But I was battling my own demons, and none of that seemed like an option. Over the years, I would occasionally receive cryptic messages from Shannon at weird hours of the night, usually just a single emoji or strangely written greeting. This caused me to block her on most of my social media. Since then, I've deleted or rebranded my online presence to avoid my abuser. But about a year ago, Shannon found all my new accounts and added me with no contact. I used this as an opportunity opportunity to confront her for what she did. Screenshots of that in the next tweet. I made it a habit to screenshot my actions because my abuser had recently begun to spread incredibly harmful rumors about me. I don't have screenshots of her response because her account has been deleted, but I requested my data from Twitter today to see if I can get it. They then attach a very long screenshot of their conversation with Shannon. The screenshot reads, "Hey there, it's been a while. I'm not sure how you found me, but it's nice to see a face from my past. Glad to see you have a pretty sizable following now and have found some sort of success. I hope you're doing okay other than that. Life is pretty wild nowadays. When we last talked, we engaged in some very concerning behavior. I was in a really dark place from Victoria, and you were basically my only friend, so I just ignored how bad everything was, and that was very wrong of me. What began as what appeared at the time a fun little thing to learn more about someone you had tangential connections with quickly developed into cyber stalking, bullying, and harassment. What happened was not okay, and I should have said something at the time, but I didn't. And that has really weighed on me over the years. So I guess I'm saying something now. We were younger and dumber, but we still should have known better. It seems a lot of your content is focusing on calling out people who have had similar behavior, and I hope that's a sign that you've changed for the better. I'd like to believe that I've changed quite a bit since we last spoke, and a whole lot has damaged me. I've made great efforts to cut off large portions of my life from when we were friends. I'm concerned. I'm very hesitant to let people into my life as it stands. I'm not accusing you of anything malicious or that you have bad intentions. I've just got conspiracy theory brain nowadays. Victoria consistently stalked me for years after we officially broke up, and once she finally lost her last shred of contact with me, she started spreading extremely malicious lies about me so she could have some sort of control. I lost a lot because of it, and I've learned to not trust things and not believe in coincidences. It might not be a true lesson, but it is the lesson I learned. I've deleted my Facebook. I'm fairly certain I have you blocked on Instagram, which was either something Victoria had me do, or I did it as an effort to distance myself from the past and get over the guilt. I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, but it's fair to give you an explanation. I know I've rebranded my social media presence after we stopped talking, so I feel like to find me, you'd have to be actively looking for me, or you've been keeping tabs on me ever since, and either situation sets off a whole lot of alarms in my head. Again, I'm not accusing you of doing anything malicious. I'm accusing me of paranoia, and I am still concerned, and double again, I really genuinely hope you are doing well. It just stresses me out a whole lot to have contact with anyone from that part of my life. I'm sorry. The thread continues, quote, Victoria, referenced in that screenshot, is my abuser. I use language that includes myself in the past actions because I was afraid of her targeting me if she hadn't changed, and I just came out completely confronting her. Shannon's response was to brush off accountability, saying we were just dumb kids. She also insisted that she found me naturally, which didn't make sense as we had no similar circles and I had an even smaller following back then. She immediately said she would block me so I didn't have to be concerned about her, which didn't seem like an action a guiltless person would take. I thought it was over. I didn't know how much she was going to hurt other people. But it seems like she never really changed from when I knew her. My heart goes out to everyone she hurt and everyone who thought they could trust her. This is such a terrible situation, and if anyone needs an ear, please feel free to reach out. If it becomes necessary, I can reopen my Facebook and try to download the data there, as I believe I have further evidence of Shannon's behavior. But I hope this chapter can close and people can find some way to heal from the damage she's caused. Obviously, this thread was really eye-opening and provided yet another essential piece of evidence to Emily's overall story. I hope they can find a way to retrieve their old Twitter data because I'm really interested in how Shannon responded to their DM. Kevin has also provided further proof that their recounting of events are legitimate on their Twitter account, where they detailed when the screenshots were taken as well as reaching out to their other friends for consolidation after sending Shannon that text. Last but definitely not least, we're going to be covering some of the things Creepshow's siblings stated on their Twitter. They recently opened their Twitter up to answer some questions regarding Shannon, Emily, and Anthony. They started their thread off by stating, "Hey folks, I am indeed creepshowart's sibling. I am aware that she doxed me on Lolcow when I was first hospitalized in March. I have no doubt that Shannon was the one who doxed me. I don't think I have anything new to contribute to this mess besides solidarity with those who have been harassed or abused by Shannon and Anthony. I will only be public for today and likely will not allow folks I don't know to keep following me, but I am here if folks have questions. Then, several people came forward with some questions. This user asked, what made you decide to go public today for this Twitter Ask Me Anything? Shannon's sibling replied, been getting lots of follower requests and messages for the last 2 weeks. Wanted to do this as a way to speak on stuff in a way that feels accessible to me, and then be done with it. Another user asked, did you ever witness any obsessive behavior from Shannon towards Emily or any other women? Do you think this could be in character for her? I respect if this question is too personal and you may not want to answer it as you also try to juggle your relationship with her. They answered, yes, I caught Shannon harassing who I now know was Emily on multiple accounts. I remember being deeply troubled by the behavior and telling her as much at the time. And as I have been a point of obsession for her over the years, I do think it is in character. Someone else followed up stating, did she do something similar to you before they turned their sights on Emily? Hope you are doing well. They replied, Shannon and Anthony have made innumerable sock puppet accounts and catfishes to harass me and or befriend me since 2015. In private, Shannon has reached out to me in kindness, even as recently as June 4th of this year, but never at the level of harassment Emily has received. They then attached a screenshot of an email that Shannon had allegedly sent them on June 4th stating, with respect, not trying to overstep any boundaries, but if you need anything, let me know. There are no strings, no obligations. Which is really funny considering she leaked her sibling's social media less than 3 months earlier, but I digress. Someone else says, wow, I guess they definitely have an MO. Also, have you gone to Emily Artful about this? They responded, yes, I reached out to Emily after I saw her video. Once she shared what had happened, I knew she was the person I caught Shannon harassing so long ago. The questions continue. Sorry if this is too personal, no need to reply if so. I'm just wondering if your parents know about all of this and how they feel about it. I know that Shannon said in a post that your relationship with them is strange, so if that is the case, feel free to not reply. Hope you're okay. Shannon's sibling responds, I know my parents should know about the harassment I have received and how I discovered Shannon harassing Emily. At the time, I just said an ex of Anthony's, since I told them about it in a voice memo emailed in March of 2018. I have no idea how my parents feel about it. Unfortunately, they didn't provide a screenshot or a post of the voice memo at all, so there is no evidence that it exists out to the public yet. Someone else asked, I hope it's not too personal. I noticed Shannon misgenders you anytime she mentions you on Lolcow or her story of the SJW friend thinks my boyfriend is abusing me video. Does she intentionally misgender you? They reply, when she made the SJW video, I was using she, her pronouns at the time. When she doxed me on Lolcow, she misgendered me intentionally. My pronouns have been they, them for about 3 years. This honestly lines up with some of the previous posts we've read on Lolcow, where Shannon used transphobic and homophobic slurs at certain points in the post history. It's not outside of the behavior we've previously observed Shannon engage in on Lolcow. The last user asked, what was or is your take on Shannon's husband? Are they actually married? Do you think he is capable of hurting her because of this situation? They answered, Shannon wasn't wrong when I called Anthony abusive back in 2015. I stand by that still. I think they are married and they are both clearly very capable of harm. I can't speak to how the situation is playing out interpersonally between them. I just think they know they've been caught. The user continues, did you have any inkling or idea about the Emily Artful situation? Did she ever talk about her to you or in passing? They reply, I actually caught her using multiple accounts to harass who I now know to be Emily. I don't remember the year this happened, I just know I saw that she had multiple accounts messaging cruel things and kind things to someone. When I asked her about it, she told me it was Anthony's ex. Those were the screenshots I could grab before they put their account back on private. Again, keep in mind that both Kevin and Shannon's sibling go by they, them pronouns, so if you want to talk about anything they said in the comments, try your best not to misgender them. That was the evidence I was able to compile and talk about. Personally, the Lolcow post history cross-reference with Emily's story is the most mind-boggling to me. Not only that, but the circumstantial evidence of the interview as well as the testimonies of 2 individuals who were personally involved with Shannon before this entire situation came to light. Unless all of these people are lying to me, I think it's safe to say that Emily Artful was right about Creepshow Art and the conclusions she drew from the situation. That's not to say say that every detail Emily disclosed was completely accurate. There may have been points in the story where Anthony did something that Emily thought Shannon did and vice versa, but overall, I genuinely think Emily provides a solid case and there is an abundance of evidence that serves to strengthen her resolve. Again, some details are missing. Obviously, Shannon has gone into hiding and there's not much more we can seem to get if the accused party has nothing to offer, but I am on Emily's side unless further evidence comes out. Regardless, I really do see her telling the truth and doing so to the best of her ability. Please go support her, as the things she has dealt with at the hands of both Shannon and her husband is harrowing. Much love to you, Emily. Until next time, that's all from me. Thank you, as always, to all of my wonderful patrons, with a special thank you to these 4 amazing newcomers: Ponderman, Maisie K, Mac the Knife, and Seal Knoll. All of your recent support has been so helpful in allowing me to put these videos out at the pace that I do, so thank you so very much again. If you would like to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description below. Last but not least, a super special thank you goes out to awoke_ on Twitter for this spectacular icon of me. I love this so much that it's become my profile picture on practically everything, so thank you again, Oakley. Your art is wonderful. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye!